Hello, Falcons fans, NFL fans. Saturday again, and time for another episode of Jocks and Pigskins here on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. And Dave Holcomb is taking the day off. He has a baptism class. Now, I don't know necessarily what you need to do to learn how to have your child baptized, why you need a class. But whatever it is, he is on a baptism class. So I guess Thomas is getting baptized this weekend. And in place, sitting in for our Mr. Holcomb is the great one, Mad Mike from Mad Mike Sports. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on? I get to act civilized today, all right? I need to talk like I have some sense, like my mother be proud of me, okay?
Yeah, I caught the show last night.
Yeah, I was just a tad bit angry last night, just a tad bit.
Yeah, I saw your title. I stayed for the show, but
I hope it didn't burst your eardrums with a lot of nonsense last night.
Oh no! Hey, you got to have some fun in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else are we gonna do?
Smoothie, no eye bulging. Right.
So before we get into our subjects today, and for the most part, I want to look at the quarterback situation again. We did this last week, but it quite a bit foggier last week as to what we were looking at. Free agency starts this week. The legal tampering period, which always just, I love how they word that. Why not just start free agency on Monday? You can legally tamper with free agents starting Monday, and you could start signing them to contracts on Wednesday. And we should start getting a much clearer picture of where the Falcons are going at quarterback and what the possibilities are going to be as we head into draft season. So it's going to be interesting and see what direction they go. Before we get started, I want to mention our show's sponsor, Prize Picks. Use the promo code ASU. They will match up to $100 of your first deposit. And just because it's not NFL season anymore, there's plenty of options on Prize Picks. And baseball's coming up, so going to be plenty of options for baseball. So you got to start studying up on Major League Baseball and see who your best over-unders might be when it comes to that. Got March Madness coming up. So there's going to be plenty of props for that. And so action never ends anymore. It's 365 days a year. You always got something going on. It's wild. When I was growing up, you used to have a little space in between your seasons. That's not the case anymore.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm not a fan of spending money because I always lose money when it comes down to March Madness. So I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm horrible at it.
I used to be pretty good at it. I haven't had time to follow the college game as much over the last few years. So I haven't gotten involved with it. It's just been too rough. Smooth C is starting up already. No eye bulging zone. So,
No, not today. Not today.
but we have our tampering season period coming up. And the free agent quarterbacks, I think, are going to fall fairly quickly. as far as how things line up this week. And I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the first one. And I don't know. I've seen reports where the Falcons do want to get involved for Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen kind of a split with Falcons fans on do they want him. And what do you think as far as Cousins coming in Atlanta? And I would say it's probably a 3-year deal if they bring him in.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm thinking a 3-year deal. If you know, 3, maybe 4, and the 4 kind of be like the first 2 years guarantee, and the third year, fourth year is kind of be like the voided years or
Yeah.
team option. So I would assume so. I think it would be one of those deals where it's 35 million guaranteed in um the first 2 years or so like that, or 35 in the first year, and then it drops down to like 15, 20 million in the second year, just for kind of the base salary is
Right.
concerned. So it's like I think it'll be one of those deals if the Falcons go that way. Um, as far as the fan base is concerned, like Falcons fans, just ignore them. They don't know what color their own underwear is. So I wouldn't take, one day is Justin Fields, the next day is Kirk Cousins, the next day it's, I want to draft and trade all our picks away. It's like Falcons fans are just confused. They have no idea what they want, to be honest. But I wouldn't mind Kirk. I think, to be honest, you have a young guy like Desmond Ridder. Um, there's plenty of guys in this draft that I like, and I'm assuming we're gonna definitely get to those guys. But
Yeah.
quite a few guys that in the draft that I think they're not ready to be NFL starters. But I think if you develop those guys properly, which the Falcons have done. They've added, guys like DJ Williams, TJ Yates, who was formerly previously the wide receiver coach, and now you have Zach Robinson. Those 3 guys right now that are capable of developing the quarterback the proper way. So I think the Falcons are set up perfectly for whatever they want to do with the quarterback position. It's obvious that they want to do something. The thing is who and
Right.
when.
Right. Well, that's why I say I think we find out this week whether Cousins goes back to the Vikings or whether the Falcons can make a good enough play for him to bring him in. Yeah, I looked up at Spot Track, and they give Cousins market value at 3 years, 1.8 million, with 2024 at 39.3 million. So that's what they're projecting that Cousins is going
Okay.
to get. So you weren't far off. You were pretty close.
Right, right. Yeah, I obsess over the quarterback position. Like the,
So, and for anybody who worries about his Achilles, believe me, he's going to get a thorough physical from any team that wants to sign him. So it's not like you're paying for damaged goods. This guy is coming in as the quarterback. My reasons why I think Cousins would be an advantage for this team is I think this team is built to win now. And to bring in or to try to trade up with a team trading draft picks to try and get up to Jaden Daniels or what's Drake Mays
Mhm.
is kind of rough because you're going to start losing the window on some of these rookies you brought in to be your main weapons. I mean, Kyle Pitts, this is the last year of his rookie deal. He goes into his 5th-year option after this season. And you got to kind of take advantage of that to me. You need a veteran, and some of these free agent contracts that you signed last year, these free agents, you don't want to give them a second contract. So you sign these guys to win now, and you need a quarterback. I think you need a quarterback who's going to do that, give them the best chance to win now. Um, yeah, you build while you got these guys. That's where your draft is going to come along. But um, a rookie quarterback kind of defeats the purpose of what the Falcons did last year in acquiring all the free agents that they did.
Yeah, and kind of add to that, um, a guy like Bijan Robinson, I think that's he's a key as well as Tyler Algier. Because if you look at these guys,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Algier, he'll be going into his final year of his deal also, and I think they have 2 years with him left as far as his contract is concerned. I don't think you waste year in time with him. So at this point in time, do I think the Falcons are in a position where they can be a Super Bowl contender? I don't think so, but I think they're good enough to make it to the playoffs. And the thing that you don't want is you have to figure out if Kyle Pitts is the generational player that
Yeah.
we think he is. So the best thing to do with that is to have a veteran quarterback. And I know a lot of fans are throwing in a guy like Justin Fields, but Justin Fields, he has talent, but he's been incredibly inconsistent as far as his passing game is concerned.
Yes, he
Now
has.
he's a excellent playmaker, and I think he has potential to be a better quarterback, but like there's too many question marks with this Falcons team to experiment. So the best thing to
Right.
do is to bring in a veteran guy who's been there. I mean, it doesn't have to be a guy like um a Russell Wilson, another guy that's out there, Kirk Cousins.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, this is not a popular name, but quite a few guys on our crew mentioned guys like Jameis Winston. Like, no, he isn't ideal as far as what you would want, but he's an experienced guy. So you have to like you can throw out a guy like another quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's another guy that's played in that system. So these are guys that are experienced, they've had time on the field. And like I said, the thing that you don't want for the Atlanta Falcons offense is to waste time because under Arthur Smith, there was a lot of wasted time with Kyle
Yes.
Pitts in that offense.
Yes, there sure was. Kyle Pitts wasn't the dominant tight end on a lot of the plays that Arthur Smith was running. Smith would have Kyle Pitts blocking down on the line of scrimmage with Jonnu Smith as his
Yeah,
main
main
target.
target. Yeah, that I did not understand.
I don't get that. I think that might be part of what led to the problems with Kyle Pitts last year. I know a lot of fans have said that they didn't think he was running his routes crisply, putting all into his routes. And I'm wondering if Kyle Pitts, every athlete tries, but every athlete also wants to be appreciated. And I don't know if Kyle Pitts felt like he was appreciated, felt like he was looked at as one of the keys to this Falcons offense. And that might have been one of the problems last year as far as how he performed. And
I didn't see injury. I saw a guy that just wasn't motivated. And to be honest, like I've seen guys play hurt, and I've seen guys with much more effort than with Kyle Pitts. So it's like I do think he wasn't 100%, but even guys that aren't 100%, I know you've seen guys like Mike Ditka play, and quite a few great time Dick buckets. Like these guys played injured, but you saw these guys play with a passion. Even
yeah.
they running a 5 flat on the field. they play with a certain passion. I didn't see that passion for Kyle Pitts. I didn't see that fire. I didn't see him scream, yell in excitement on the field. These are the things that, for me, with Kyle Pitts, that had me question, and I called him a lazy bum. I thought he was a lazy bum this year, and like I said, one of the things, and I get a lot of flack for it, is that I want to see players take themselves to the next level. I want them to
Yeah.
be able to, like, you can see when a guy wants it.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that a guy like Kyle Pitts, a guy like Justin Fields, these guys, they don't want it like a lot of players want it. And you can see it. You can see the burn in their eyes. You can see it in their emotions. You can see the passion, when they're talking to their teammates, talking to their coach. I didn't see that for Kyle Pitts. So it's like, that's the thing. This is why you have to bring in a veteran coach, a veteran quarterback, an experienced quarterback, excuse me, to see if Kyle Pitts is that guy that you can build around.
Right. Right. And that's why what I was saying is I don't think Arthur Smith really appreciated Kyle Pitts. And I think that kind of got under Kyle Pitts' skin.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see if Zach Robinson can can draw some of that fire back out of Pitts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And no, and I agree with you, Mike. It's something you want to see from the player. You want to see that fire coming out of the player. Even if you're struggling, even if you're not the number one choice, make yourself the number one choice. But it is a tough thing when you're not priority. When this guy was brought in as a free agent, is the guy that your coach wants to use, and there's not much you can do about it. It does make things difficult for a player. So I will be interested to see what Zach Robinson can get out of Pitts this year. What a veteran quarterback can get out of Pitts this year. This Pitts really has not seen a quarterback that can make a lot happen with his offense. So
some players need to be led by quarterbacks, and I think a guy like Kyle Pitts, he has to be led. He has to be told what to do to get the best out of him, or to at least get him, fired up a bit. Like, if you look at Matt Ryan, he has the ability to, dictate. All right, these are the types of routes that I want you to
right.
run. This is the type of energy that
Yeah.
I want you to display on the field. And I think that's what Kyle Pitts needs now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and if Zach Robinson can get that out of him, as well as the head coach. This is why you brought Raheem Morris in. He's
Yeah.
supposedly a guy that he knows how to get the best out of players. So I
Right.
think this is, like I said, this is the year for the Atlanta Falcons, and to see where this organization, and particularly the offense, is where they're headed.
Right. Yeah, because I have a lot of faith in what this defense can do. But again, you're looking at a defense that you built out of free agency. And a lot of these, and I was looking at some of the ages of these free agents, and a lot of these guys you can't give second contracts to. So you brought them in to solidify your defense. You brought them in to win. And that's, one of the problems I see is that you have a limited window with these free agents before you have to start replacing them and hit on your draft picks. So if you don't have a quarterback who makes it happen for you now, then you've really wasted last year bringing some of these guys in.
Right. Mm-hmm. They have a
And
lot of guys. They have a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. It's like I think Bud Dupree is a guy that I would really look to bring back. I love
yeah,
what he brought in as a veteran.
yeah, I love Bud Dupree, and I think he has to comes back. But the only free agent who I see that gets a second contract is Jesse Bates, because he's young and he will still have a lot in the tank when it
Mm-hmm.
comes time for him to sign another contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like, but I think Jesse Bates is the only one you can really sign to a second deal. So
Yeah.
you've got to make this happen within next year or 2025, or else you've kind of wasted a very good build that Terry Fontenot did. So that's why I think you need the quarterback now. You've got to get this guy now. Trading up and getting May or what's the other guy's name? Guy from LSU.
Um. The you say the who?
The one from LSU.
The quarterback.
Yeah.
The quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. You trade up to try and get Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Well, you're waiting another couple of years for him to, unless he's a CJ Stroud. And CJ
Right.
Strouds don't come
Right.
along very often. You got another couple of years to wait before these guys, 2025, before you can really compete with them. And then it gets rough. Because now all of a sudden, the guys you brought in, you might find yourself in salary cap hell again
Mm-hmm.
if you have to re-sign some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing I worry about is taking advantage of the free agent class that you brought in. So it's rough, and that's why I say you can't really trade up to get your guy. You gotta get your guy now. So I get to some of the comments. We got comments coming in like
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So William Amy, we need to address the edge rusher. And God, I have been saying that. I have been covering the Falcons one way or another for 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I have been saying edge rusher for 5 seasons. So
Yeah, I'm to be honest, man, I would much rather just sign a veteran quarterback. Um,
yeah,
Continue to develop Desmond Ridder and draft the edge guy. I think you have to. We have to address the edge guy.
yeah,
We haven't had one in so long.
no. The thing is, and this is one of the things that Dave and I talked about last week. If you sign Cousins, you still need that heir apparent in place. It's
Mm.
kind of like what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. They had Jordan Love. Having that young quarterback in place, learning and picking up things, as you go along. And I don't see why Desmond Ridder can't be that heir apparent, can't be the guy who is the understudy. But you do have to have an understudy if you bring in Cousins. So
I
that's
think he's perfect. I think he's perfect for that. Like he has experience. If you look at him this year, he didn't play horrible. The thing for him is just the unnecessary the untimely turnovers. That's what
yes,
played him the entire year. It's like if you look
exactly.
at the same amount of games, he put up the same almost identical numbers than Justin Fields. You look at even the MVP quarterback, he had 300. I think it was 342 yards less than Lamar Jackson. So he's not horrible when it comes
Right.
down to the passing game. So it's like if you can just develop him properly, continue to build the offense the proper way with balanced running game, adding, veteran pieces to kind of help mold the young guys, Drake, London, as well as Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. I think the recipe is there. It's there.
Yeah, I was looking up a lot of stats while you guys were doing your show last night. Just going through things to see where Ridder kind of compared to Fields. And there isn't a lot of separation.
You don't say.
But as I said, I want to get to a couple other comments first. Now I do want to get into this Justin Ridder and Justin Fields.
Justin Ridder. They're the same guy as you said.
Smooth C78 says if we go KC Kirk Cousins, is our offensive line stout enough to keep him protected, including our depth players? And my answer to that is I think they are stout enough. I don't think we have the best offensive line in the league. I think Caleb McGarry he's a terrible pass blocker. He's a great run blocker, terrible pass blocker. So you got problems there. I think Bergeron had a good rookie season last year at guard, filling in. I think the Falcons have enough, but you also look at Cousins. Cousins knows where to go with the football faster. All right. Mm-hmm. Cousins doesn't hold on to the ball as long as a younger quarterback because he knows what's happening in front of him. And he knows where receivers are breaking free, he knows where the coverage is. So the fact that he's going to be rushed a little more, yes, but it's offset by the fact that he gets rid of the ball better and he can make faster decisions. So hopefully
that's what the offense is going to be tailored around. It's Zach Robinson stated just like he's looking for a guy that can process information quickly and deliver. So it's like if you look at his statement and what he's looking for in a quarterback, the thing is with Desmond Ridder, he can process information quickly.
Yes, he can.
Again, his issue has always been getting through that second, third option. So he can process the information quickly, but he needs that experience to, all right, I got through the first, second read, getting off that second read, the third and fourth option. How can he improve that area? I think that's something a veteran it's Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator or a guy like Kirk Cousins. Like he excels at getting to that second, third. Right. And I think he's the perfect guy, to be honest, because if you look at his ability, he's not the greatest athlete. So I think he is the perfect guy to be able to mold a Desmond Ridder or whomever the quarterback is.
And see, that's where I fully agree with you. And I think there's still I still think there's still plenty of ceiling to Desmond Ridder. So, I'm not saying that the Falcons might not want to draft a quarterback in a later round this year. But I don't see why Ridder still can't be the heir apparent, because I think he showed a lot of positives. Yeah, there were negatives. He turned over the ball. He made mistakes.
Oh, yes.
However, you also got to look at the fact that Arthur Smith pulled the rug out from under him in midseason. And I know Ridder kind of earned it, as far as mistakes, but you can't throw your quarterback under the bus, then 2 weeks later bring him back and expect him to perform the same. Now all of a sudden you've really messed with his head, because all of a sudden his thought process is not to make things happen. His thought process is, I don't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, that's what got Arthur fired. Uh, like one thing you can't do as a coach is continuously like the quarterback position in itself. It's a difficult position. So
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is kill the guy confidence. And I think that's one thing. Jew Talk Sports, he alluded to that as well. It's like you killed the guy's confidence. Like you can't tell me, he's your guy and you replace him with Taylor Heineke, and Taylor Heineke plays worse than
Plays
he
worse.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a terrible decision, and that's terrible coaching. What ultimately got him fired.
Because that's the hell of the thing is what you're getting with Taylor Heineke. So, you knew he wasn't going to be much of an improvement over Desmond Ridder. He wasn't going to win you many games.
Right.
At
Yeah,
least
I didn't
Ridder won
understand
you
that.
a couple of games and came close in a couple of others. So coming from Todd, and boy, Todd, yeah, he busting my balls every week.
And Todd is a jerk. He's a jerk. Okay, Todd is an absolute jerk. He's always mean to every freaking body. All right.
He goes, Mad Mike, I get Tom's blood pressure up. Pitts is a bust. Trade him. He runs half speed. He doesn't try to catch TDs.
Todd, stop being a jerk, okay?
My answer to that is he wasn't put in many positions where he could catch a TD. As far as patterns.
Yeah.
Smith he liked using Jonnu Smith when he got into the red zone. So
this is the comfort where guys like you got to give guys a chance, and
right.
the route concepts is something that I did not like. I thought that Kyle should have been used a lot more
Yeah.
with the crossing and drag routes, because like towards the end of the year, the beginning of the year, it's like even in 22, it was using him a lot on those crossing routes. And for whatever reason this year, they gave those routes to Jonnu Smith. And I'm just like, okay, so what's the point of drafting him if you're going to have him blocking and running hook routes,
and
running curl routes?
I wanted to see Pitts running more seam routes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't see a lot of that. We saw a lot of that from Jonnu.
Right. So, it's almost like, Jonnu Smith comes in and he had the job handed to him of being your top tight end. And that wasn't the point of taking Pitts. So, Maggie T, it's always great to see you. Glad you're on today.
That's my boo, y'all. That's my boo.
Yeah. So she's great. Love seeing her here. I always love seeing her here. See if I have any other comments to bring in before we move on. Well, see, Larry Orange, you can't sign Kirk Cousins and draft that kid from LSU. It's not going to work because you're not going to get him.
Right.
And again, you can't. If you sign Kirk Cousins, that means you keep your 8th pick.
Right.
And for me, if you sign Kirk Cousins or make a trade for a quarterback, because you could probably get one with a second or maybe a second in 2024, third 2025, then I want to see, and I got his name here, and I don't know why I can't find it all of a sudden.
It happens
I'm telling you.
It happens all the time.
I came into this thing prepared, and all of a sudden I can't find anything.
Oh, I forget a lot. Look, trust me, I'm horrible. K Styles, he gets on me every single. Maggie too. They get on me all the time for forgetting things.
All right. They keep number 8. I want Dallas Turner.
Dallas Turner.
I want Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Period.
I like him. I like him.
I want some snarl out of that pass edge rusher position. We haven't
I
had
wouldn't be mad
snarl
with
out of that edge rusher position in a long time.
right. I do like it. I do like him. He does play with an edge that I think that the Falcons need.
He plays with an attitude. He's got long arms, knows how to, he's got moves. Yeah, he's a college player and he's got moves as a pass
Hmm.
rusher.
Oh yeah.
Now, keep that number 8 pick. Get Dallas Turner. All right. Terry Fontenot, are you watching? I don't see your comments, but um, now other free agent quarterbacks. Let me run a couple more by you before we get to. And there's a few things I want to say about Fields, and kind of add on to what you were saying last night, and give you a chance to kind of reiterate what you were saying last night. What do you think about Baker Mayfield landing in Atlanta?
Despite that being K Styles guys that he absolutely despises, he's he's one of those guys that I think he'll be able to fit perfectly. Because he's a I want to say a veteran, but he's an experienced guy that's in the league. If you look at his system, the spread system, um, was essentially what Zach Robinson, I mean, he played in himself. So that's kind of where he likes to get the ball out quickly, put it in his playmaker's hands. I think Baker Mayfield, he's very good at that. Um, the thing with him is injuries. You know, can he stay healthy for the most part? So I think he's a good decision maker. And the thing with the Falcons, they have a good enough defense and a good enough team that they can kind of like they don't need Baker to be perfect. It's almost like the exact same you know the same
Well,
issue as far as in Tampa. They don't need
yeah,
him to single handedly win. They have a good defense that can help him along. But the Falcons, I think if Falcons would be a better situation with him because they have a consistent running game. So if the Falcons should decide that Baker Mayfield is that guy, I wouldn't I wouldn't mind it because again, Tampa didn't have a running game like the Atlanta Falcons.
oh
So
no,
he
they
could
didn't.
definitely excel and make this Falcons a playoff team. I know that's not popular, Atlanta Falcons fans, but man, Mike is here to tell the facts, the stats, and the truth.
Yeah, and see, my thoughts is, the Buccaneers signed Mike Evans to a big contract, and I figured that meant that they were serious about bringing Baker Mayfield back, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any movement going along with Baker Mayfield in Tampa.
No, I haven't heard it. I've heard, rumors, but I really don't put too much in as far as him telling Minnesota, one team that he was negotiating with or at least talking to, that he said he's headed back. Again, I don't know how true that is, but um, I would assume that if Mike Evans signed that big of a deal, that he would want to play with a decent quarterback and not Kyle Trask, because Kyle Trask has
Right.
shown us absolutely nothing. So I would assume that like, he would return. But again, if he doesn't return, Falcons fan do not be surprised as we get another appearance
Uh,
from. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons you know get
right.
at least look at them,
Now, as
talk
far
to
as
them.
our commenters, they're not very happy about that option. I was just throwing it out
Just throwing
because
it out there.
I hadn't heard him connected with anybody yet, and I wanted to see. I just wanted to throw it out there and see what anybody had to say. So, as I say, I have no thoughts that he might sign with Atlanta. I haven't heard anything, but I'm just saying, let's put the option out there and see what everybody says. So I'm just causing trouble.
Yeah, look, I like it. Look, this is what we do. We like to cause trouble,
Yeah.
so I'm fine with it. You never know.
Do you think Russell Wilson still has a couple of years left being an elite quarterback, or do you think he's already slid? Do you think he's on the downside of his career right now?
Um, that's a to be honest, I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
to me, last year, like Sean Payton was just being a jerk. Um, he like I don't like him. I just he just has a excuse my language, but he just has such a freaking punchable face. I just don't like him. Like he just does things just because he can, and says and does things to players because he can, and I don't appreciate that. Um, if it's not Drew Brees, it's like God before Drew Brees, like you were a coach that was hanging on to the moniker that you would be that you're a Parcells guy. So it's like, all right, outside of that, what have you done? And to treat Russell the way that he did, when you look at his numbers, 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, that's not a bad year
No, it
considering
wasn't.
look at a lot of uh just a lot of quarterbacks in the league. He had, he was in the middle of the pack, for the most part, above average season. So it's like, again, if you're looking for a guy to be an MVP, I don't think Russell is that type of player anymore. If you're looking at a guy that could, get you and help you get to the playoffs, I think he's that guy. But
Okay.
as far as an MVP and elite quarterback, I think that those days are behind him. But you never know.
Right. Well, you never know, but yeah, it's rough for me because I don't know. And I was a huge Russell Wilson fan. All right. I always hated people calling him game manager because, he went out and won games. He had an arm, he had an instinct for what was happening in front of him. And I really love that. But I don't know if he can still do that or still come close to that. He's 35. He's not going to be the Super Bowl Russell Wilson anymore. But, you want somebody who you can win with now, take advantage of the guys you have now, and actually let these young players, these young specialty players that you've been bringing in, the question is, can he help them produce between Robinson, London, and Pitts? Because you brought those guys in to be the cornerstones of your offense, and they really haven't been.
hmm And
And
I think that's
that's
it.
what I'm looking for.
You looking for him to be an aid to these guys because like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Chris Lindstrom, those guys are the cornerstone on the offense. Like they are the stars of the offense. You don't
Right.
need him to be a star. You need him to help get them to the next level so they can find themselves as professional players. So it's like that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a guy. Like the Falcons and its offense, if you look at the defense side of the ball, you have Zach Harrison just signed Nate Landman, and then you have Caden Ellis, Troy Anderson. You still have to figure out whether or not you're gonna sign AJ Terrell to a long term. So they have pieces on both sides of the ball. So you don't need him to come in and be all right. Let's be a star. Let's be a superstar. Be our MVP quarterback. You don't need that. You have a loaded team with pieces. Grady Jarrett, he's coming from a torn ACL, so you have to figure out what he is at this point, and you can add a guy, a defensive tackle to go along with him, or you can do what you say. You suggested with um, um, good God, brain fart. You see how I forget things? Alabama, Dallas.
You're
Good
right.
God Almighty, yeah, him. You can bring him in, but I think the Falcons they're in a good position where like if the Falcons were smart, I would stay at 8, like you suggested, and I would just take my time, develop. Because if you trade up and something happens to an AJ, something happens to a Kyle, something happened to a Bijan, you don't have picks to be able to replace these guys.
Yep.
So you have to be smart with what you're doing. You have to, at this time, I think the Falcons just have to work on developing players. You have the
Yeah.
pieces, just develop the players that you have.
Well, you have to develop the players to replace the free agents already here.
Right.
And that's the one way you stay out of salary cap hell is rookie contracts. Developing these guys. So, but I would like to see AJ Terrell come back. I really would. I think he's a cornerstone of that defense.
Oh yeah.
And I would like to see him make another get a contract from the Falcons. So yeah. Finishing up with Justin Fields. And I heard what you were saying yesterday. And the thing is, I've seen him. I've been watching him for 3 seasons now. And the problem you get with Justin Fields is there hasn't been an improvement. He holds on to the ball too long. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the league in sacks. He led the league in time in pocket with 2.8 seconds. He also was one of the leaders in the league in sacks. So that tells you he's not making fast decisions. And that's a problem when you're getting the time and all of us, but you're not taking advantage of that time by finding guys. He does not have anticipation. All right. He's not going to see a weak spot in a defense and throw the ball expecting his receiver to be there. That's another problem. He is a see him, throw him. If he sees a guy open, that's when he throws it. If he doesn't see him, he's not going to throw it. So no anticipation with Justin Fields. He's also 4-21 against teams that are 500 or better. In his career.
Wow.
I saw that last night. I was looking at some of his stats and just blew me away.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Good gracious.
4-21 when he's playing. Let's see, advanced passing stats. By the way, if you don't have an audience, if you don't have Pro Football Reference, you're not doing it right, because Pro Football Reference is fantastic.
Yeah, that's one I go to.
Pressure. Yeah. Pocket time. Average time the quarterback had in the pocket between the snap and throwing the ball or pressure collapses the pocket. He led the league in pocket time, 2.8 seconds. All right. Lamar Jackson was just behind him. Russell Wilson, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, winning quarterbacks. So you got a lot of quarterbacks that take advantage of that pocket time. Justin Fields didn't. And let's see, throwaways. All right, Fields was only 10th in throwaways. He doesn't get rid of the ball when he needs to. That's that, and he holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't get the ball out of bounds when he needs to. On target percentage, he is 28th in the league as far as accuracy on target. So, that's gives you an idea of his ability to throw, his ability to read. he's making bad throws. His bad throw percentage is well, he's 8th in the league in bad throw percentage. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, but still, when he throws it, he's accurate. The problem is he doesn't throw it quick enough, doesn't throw it with any anticipation. He's not going to throw your receiver open.
Right.
He's not going to give a Drake London the ball where only Drake London can catch it if he's being covered, if he's got a DB, wearing his shirt. He's not going to give you that kind of play. Look at his receiving core. Yeah, true. But he actually took a step backwards last year after getting DJ Moore as his number one receiver. So, yeah, I did look at his receiving core. He threw better without a name receiver on the team than he did last year when he had DJ Moore. So, and these are the things that I see, and I know a lot of Atlanta fans really want Fields. They are dying to get Fields down in Atlanta. And I'm saying, wait a second, because you've had 3 years. We've seen 3 years of him now, and he hasn't improved. He's had 2 straight years under an offensive coordinator.
Where are you from? Where are you located now? Where are you located?
Well, I'm in Chicago.
All right. You see what I'm saying? He's in Chicago, people. He's saying this, and he's in Chicago. Mad Mike did not say this, okay? I just want to look. I'm in heaven right now. Listen to this. I'm in heaven. I didn't see it.
Nathan Floyd, no, he did not take a step forward. I do not agree with you. Nathan Floyd says he took a step forward according to stats. No, I've been looking at
that's not true. That's not true at all.
Comparing myself in stats this whole week. He did not make a step forward. So, and that's where we're at, and that's why the Bears are going to end up with Caleb Williams. They are going to use that number 1 pick on Caleb Williams, and
I think you're going to lose subscribers. I think they're upset with you, Tom.
Yeah,
you can't talk about the great Justin Fields in any negative light, okay?
Well, I calls them as I sees them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The thing is, yeah, he didn't have the greatest wide receiver core, but then again, neither did other quarterbacks. There have been some weak wide receiver cores with quarterbacks who've actually still made improvements. To me, a quarterback lifts his players. He lifts the players around him on offense.
You sure you wasn't watching our shows? Because we've been saying everything you're saying. I'm just saying.
And I have thought that for a long time. That's always been the way I've approached how I judge a quarterback. How does he lift the players around him? How does he make his players better? Not necessarily who does he have around him. How does he make his players better? And he does not make his players better. He stays in the pocket too long. Yeah, once he runs, he's dangerous. Now the problem is does Zach Robinson see enough ceiling in Fields to bring him in?
That's
is there ceiling? Is there still development room to bring in from Justin Fields? And that's kind of where my thought is right now. Because apparently not with the Bears, because every Bears insider, every Bears media person, beat writer, everyone that you trust in Chicago to be plugged into what's happening at Hollis Hall is saying that Fields is gone. Fields will not quarterback the Bears next year. It will be Caleb Williams next year.
I'm hearing the same. I've interviewed a few myself on the heavy hitters, and quite a few of them expect him to be traded or gone. We'll see.
Jason Greenway makes a comment, then why DJ Moore want him back? Guess what? Yeah, Justin Fields, his players love him. The team loves him. The fans love him.
Yeah.
A lot of fans who are going to be very upset if Justin Fields goes. However, players tend to get over it pretty quick. When Caleb Williams goes in for OTAs, I expect you're going to start hearing talk about how Caleb Williams throws the ball and how he hits me in stride and how, I'm really starting to like this guy. You hear it all the time.
It happens all the time.
Players love the guy until he's gone, until he's replaced. Then all of a sudden they love the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, DJ Moore would probably like to see Fields stay. But Fields does not take advantage of DJ Moore the way we need to take advantage of DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not the guy. And after about 3 years, what you see is what you get. Rarely do you see a quarterback make an emergence after his first 3 or 4 years. Geno Smith ended up in the right situation. And Shane Waldron was the offensive coordinator for Geno Smith, and he's come in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So Shane Waldron think he can fix Justin Fields too? That's possible. I don't know if there's still ceiling for Justin Fields. And that's my problem. And that's why I think the Bears are moving on from him, is they don't see a ceiling with Justin Fields.
Just look at the numbers. His numbers hasn't improved. His numbers they haven't improved. And that's the thing. We can see. I think that the thing is with Justin Fields, people are blown away by his athleticism. All right, and let's just keep that. Let's just be honest about it. You're blown away by his athleticism. He's one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks we've seen. All right. He can make those throws when he makes those throws. The problem is he doesn't do it consistently.
Yeah, he can throw the deep ball and he can throw, but again, he doesn't throw with anticipation.
The back shoulder throws, the timing throws across the middle, and with those dig routes, the same routes, the crossing routes, those are if you look at a guy like Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, these guys have done this for years. They didn't have the biggest arm, but they threw in anticipation. They knew how to get guys the ball when they need it and where they need it. Like if you go back to the Super Bowl, that throw to Julio Jones, he threw that with anticipation.
Yeah.
He threw that with anticipation. He threw it to a spot. He knew what Julio was going to be, and he threw it to a spot where only his receiver could get it. These are the things that quarterbacks have to you have to understand with a quarterback. That's what throwing the ball deep is not something that a quarterback that's not a gift, in my opinion. The gifts are anticipation, understanding where this guy likes the ball. Because your receiving core, you have guys that are small. For example, the Atlanta Falcons had guys like Mohamed Sanu. Mohamed Sanu wasn't a fast guy, but he knew how to use his body. And then you have guys like, as I say, Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is a guy, he's a speedster. So you have to throw the ball you have to get rid of the ball fast with these guys, quick. You have to get it out of your hand quick with
Right.
these type
And
of
get it
guys.
out of your hands.
So these different types of receivers that you have to like understand what they are, how to get the ball. Some receivers like the ball up high. Some receivers like you can throw these guys the ball over the middle and they want short arm the ball like a Calvin Ridley. Like you have to understand these things. So like being a quarterback and just throwing the ball is only a small part of being a quarterback. And this is the thing that you look at Justin Fields even going back to Georgia. This is why he transferred. He transferred to Ohio State because he could not understand these aspects. He couldn't get over this in college. This has always been an issue with Justin Field, and he has not gotten better. He hadn't gotten better. That's the issue. Is he incredibly talented? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
He is incredibly talented, but talent only is going to take you so far. You have to be mentally prepared to be an NFL quarterback. And that's why I think he lacks. He's just not mentally prepared. I don't think he's smart enough to be a quarterback. It's nothing wrong with that. He could still be a solid quarterback. I think he
He's
can be a
going to
solid
be a
quarterback,
solid quarterback.
but
And
he's
that's the
not a
thing.
star. And that's
No,
all we're
not a
saying.
star.
He's not a star quarterback. I don't think he would ever get to that point. That's what we mean by the ceiling for him. I think the ceiling for Justin Fields, in my opinion, is a Geno Smith type of quarterback. Nothing wrong with that. Geno Smith is a quarterback that you can win. You can get to the playoffs. He can win you 9 or 10 games, and
Right.
that's it. It's nothing wrong with that. But he's not a star.
No. And Fields was drafted to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to be a star. He's just not. It's not that point anymore. And the problem is also any team that picks him up, he's got a great salary cap number for 2024. But if you're picking him up to be your guy. And
Mm-hmm.
his fifth year option is $25 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why the Bears aren't moving forward with him, because they don't see him being able to be good enough to fill out that fifth year option to be the $25 million quarterback. And
Right.
that's it. So whoever picks him up is going to end up with a price tag on him, not next year, but the following year. Jason Greenway, yeah. Cousins can make all the throws. Cousins can make every throw. He can throw guys open. He can make the back shoulder throw. He can throw dig routes. He can throw out, out routes. He can throw the ball deep. Cousins can make all the throws.
You're gonna make
Right.
$40 million a year if you're not a star quarterback.
Right. So, Cousins, and that's why I think Cousins is the prime free agent, because he can make all the throws. And he can make all the throws. So that becomes a difference maker. And Fields cannot make all the throws. Twice a game, at least twice a game, the Bears would try to throw an out route to Darnell Mooney on the sidelines, about 15 yards, a 15-yard out. And they never hit it. All right. Fields could never get the ball to him. Their timing was off. They never. The play should have been taken out of their playbook. They had no business running that play, but they ran it twice a game, and just kept failing at it. It was getting ridiculous. And I'll tell you another thing about Fields. Fields was great with Luke Getsy last year. Getsy scripted his first 20, 25 plays, and you could see Fields was very good when he was playing the script. And it got to be a joke between me and some other guys that, I talked to during games on Twitter that were like, okay, Fields is, he's off the script. He's now you can tell when he is kind of having to make those decisions. So that is another problem with Fields is when you got to go off script with him, he's, his quality of play goes down.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like a college quarterback to me.
Yeah. We are at the hour mark. It's amazing that we fill this time. I don't know how we do it. But we are out of time. We're a little bit over time. Want to thank you, Mike. Always great to have you here.
Oh, appreciate it. Truly appreciate
it. And you have a lot of comments today.
Yeah.
Getting those comments. We love having the audience involved in the show. You guys are great. And that's why I love doing this every Saturday. So we do want to remind you, sign up for Prize Picks, support the show. Use the promo code ASU. They will match up to $100 of your first deposit. So always good to have. And, you got some prime player prop seasons coming up. So, yep, use the promo code ASU. And other than that, as I say, it's been a fun day. We are going to see this week what happens with this Falcons quarterback situation. The fog is going to start being lifted now because we're going to see some quick action on these guys, and we're going to have a better idea of what is going to be available to the Falcons moving in towards the draft. So everybody have a wonderful afternoon. And everybody have a wonderful week. Great to see you.
Absolutely.